We turn now to growing concerns around the proliferation of misogyny online and its migration into real-world interactions, especially those involving young men. John Yang has this story about a Detroit teenager's experience and the broader implications of this trend.
All right, guys, we're talking about the hatred of women here. So we got to look for something that says that men hate women, okay? Something that shows that a man truly hates women. That is what misogyny is. Let's see if there's any actual misogyny being presented in this video.
Like many his age, Brian Campbell says he grew up an iPad kid, playing a lot of video games.
You about to lose anyway, it don't matter.
And when the COVID pandemic forced schools to shift to remote learning when he was 12, his primary connection with friends was online.
I would spend all my time on the internet. Either I'm playing the video game or on TikTok, or both. Fortnite, NBA 2K. If me and my friends get bored playing it for 10 hours, then we scroll on TikTok and send each other videos, and then we get back to playing the game.
Eventually, content with a specific perspective started showing up on Campbell's feeds.
It is so easy to become a top-tier male in the world today because the competition is so ridiculous.
That is misogyny. Competing to be a top-tier male is misogyny. That is the hatred of women, of course.
Topics masqueraded as informational kind of male improvement. I think a lot of these people have lived more life. They're rich, they're nice car, all that. Like what society says is the ideal for a young man.
The message.
No, that's what women say is the ideal for a young man. Women like those types of things, so men who have a lot of money buy those types of things to attract women. That's what it's all for.
Appealed to Campbell, and the more he engaged with it, the more he saw. Campbell had found himself in the heart of what's known as the manosphere. The term broadly refers to online communities that create and share content aimed at men and boys. But there's growing concern about the ideas behind that content. Misogynistic, often conspiratorial beliefs about gender roles and masculinity.
Oh my gosh, gender roles, misogyny. Guys, what does the world come to? Every female celebrity talks about the fact that they hate men, but didn't you know that the problem is actually misogyny? Women are filing for divorce at a 75% rate, separating their families and taking half of a man's living, but the problem is misogyny. Even though we have a collapsing birth rate, millions of children are being aborted because these young women feel like their future is more important than the potential future of their children. But the problem is misogyny. Guys, and I need y'all to hear me real quick when I say this, because I'm actually serious about this point. No society that we know of in recorded history has ever recovered from having a 1.9 birth rate, meaning 1.9 children being born per family. No society has ever recovered from that low of a birth rate. According to the new statistics in America, we are currently at 1.6. There is a plummeting birth rate. But of course, guys, the problem is misogyny. And I already know the next argument. The next argument is, but people can't afford it. And that's just a lazy argument because the poorest people on the planet have the most children and the poorest people in America have the most children. And all of the data shows that the more wealthy an individual family is, the less kids they'll have. The more wealthy a nation is, the lower their birth rate will be. So you can't just throw money at the issue. The real social issues that are causing the collapsing birth rate, of course, separated from the physical issues like obesity, the lack of fertility on the decrease, male sperm count on the decrease, male testosterone on the decrease, mostly because of obesity, eating habits, sleep habits, all those things, those are physical. I'm talking about the social issues. We have a lot of women who are taught to be and are open misandrous. We have a lot of young women who are very, very promiscuous, and we have a lot of young women who prioritize their careers over family until the age of 30, and now that's the age of the average marriage. So all of these things are real issues, and some of them are existential issues, but if you so much as talk about these things, you are, of course, a misogynist, and you are part of the problem.
And thanks to a handful of key influencers, the manosphere's reach has exploded.
Aiden Ross.
In an attempt to quantify that growth, researchers in Dublin set up accounts on multiple social media apps, posing as teenage boys. Last year, they reported that in less than half an hour, every one of the accounts was fed manosphere content, whether they sought it out or not.
In the post-Me Too movement, we've seen this
here it is.
surge
Some
of
woman
online
telling us.
misogyny in particular.
Cynthia Miller-Idris is the founder of the Polarization and Extremism Research and Innovation Lab at American University. Her book, Man Up, The New Misogyny and the Rise of Violent Extremism, will be published in the fall.
What a nagging title, Man Up, right? Isn't that what people have been telling young men for the past 60 years? Man up and go work hard so you can get a woman that's 30 years old that doesn't want kids, or a woman who already has kids that'll probably divorce you and take half of your things anyway. Man up, guys. That is such a nagging woman title to make.
Land on an influencer who's offering them often very tangible and real help that makes a difference, right? Like get 8 hours of sleep and drink water and get to the gym. And they package that with scapegoating of women or treatment of women or an idea of success as being, dominant. And so, your life is improving while you're starting to believe this other stuff.
Women sell purity, men sell success.
This is seen as a more dominant position.
A woman wants sex more than the guy does.
All of this is the hatred of women. Keep paying attention. This is the hatred of women. You saying these things is the hatred of women.
The average woman will always cheat more than the average man.
That's the sort of content Campbell was seeing. Soon, he was echoing those ideas.
How women want to control us, and us as young men, we have to not be at the whim of women and stuff I didn't really know what I was talking about, but it sounded good.
Campbell's dad, Al, and his older brother, Brandon, who had fallen down similar rabbit holes when he was younger, noticed a change.
He started mentioning a lot of things typical of someone who believes that the world is against them, where you think that if you are not, I'll say in quotes, superior, then something's wrong. He was kind of taking on opinions that didn't sound like his own. They were opinions that I myself once had because I had gained them from someone else.
While Brian was seeing this material, were you aware of it?
I guess I didn't really pick up on it at first. But over time, you say a few things, it gets a little concerning, hey, my wife's gonna clean up after me, being the alpha male.
Oh no, that's misogynistic. A man paying the bills and taking on the responsibility to provide for his family and expecting his wife to clean up a little bit around the house. That is misogyny and the hatred of women. Expecting any type of reciprocation from the woman that you're providing for is, of course, misogyny.
This and that. And
you shouldn't expect anything as a man, of course.
Type of guy that's the strongest, the baddest, and everybody needs to bow down and respect you, but then you don't have to respect anybody else.
When it comes to behavior like this, there's really no excuse for it. But there may be an explanation for it.
Here's another woman about
Psychologist.
Here's another female expert that's about to tell us what's wrong with men, of course.
Lisa Damore specializes in adolescent development.
It's helpful to think about 12-year-old boys in broader context. Girls hit puberty before boys do. So what this means is that for 7th grade boys in general, the girls are often beating them at recess, and then they come into the classroom and the girls are often beating them in school. So if you are a 12 or 13-year-old boy and you have had a very rough day at school where a girl outran you at recess and then had all the right answers when you didn't understand what was happening in class, and you come home feeling pretty small and you hop online and there is somebody telling you, listen, guys are actually great and the thing that's holding us back are girls, that is pretty compelling.
Jamie.
Or maybe it's the fact that you're surrounded by 90% female teachers that expect you to behave like a girl, and if you don't, they'll try to pump you up with opioids. Did she really just say, as an adolescent psychologist, whatever her title was, that young men are just jelly? Young men are consuming misogynistic content online because when they go to school, they're getting outperformed by 7th grade girls. That was her explanation as an expert. What does she talk? Since we've been tracking literacy in America since the 1700s, young women have always performed better in school than young men. How in the world is that an expert opinion? I see why college degrees are becoming pointless now.
Online radicalization and the manosphere are at the center of the Emmy-nominated Netflix miniseries Adolescence, the platform's most-watched show in the first half of the year, with 145 million views. It's a fictional account of how these influences lead a teenage boy to murder a female classmate.
A fictional account.
By the manosphere. 80% of women are attracted to 20% of men.
By the way, the UK was trying to use this fictional TV series to find an excuse to go into schools and to show young men positive masculine influences and role models. So pretty much show them a bunch of gay shit and a bunch of Sam Smiths and teach them that this is what masculinity really is. They were using a fictional series. The government was using the fictional series in order to do that.
Trick them because you'll never get them in a normal way.
In real life, there's a growing number of examples of manosphere culture affecting interactions between boys and girls.
It's like little things like, oh, you should be back in the kitchen. And even though it's a joke, some people take it really far.
There are games that I've stopped playing because every single time I joined, I'd receive a rape threat.
Me and my former roommate were chased on campus by 2 different men saying that they were going to have a lot of fun with us.
Those kinds of things are have migrated from, online worlds into real life. Sometimes in ways that boys are just trying to be provocative, sometimes in ways that are really dangerous stepping stones on the way to more harmful and violent content and behaviors.
Experts say the key to combating the spread of these ideas and preventing their worst effects is to engage with young men.
Don't start with a lecture. Start instead with a question. Ask, have you seen...
Why do you believe that you're inferior? Is it because 7th grade girls are beating you in school and in sports?
Yes. What is it like to see it? What do you think adults don't know about this that we should probably know? And how can I be helpful?
That's what happened to Brian Campbell in Detroit. Around Thanksgiving 2020, his older brother, home from college, sat him down for a long conversation.
So I wanted him to have a more, reflective idea of how he was engaging with others, how he viewed people, and how he interacted with them, less as like ideas or groups of people, but as individuals.
Campbell says that talk helped pull him out of the manosphere. He still sees online videos pushing misogynistic views, but he says he's able to tune them out and click not interested.
A lot of it was like reminding myself about, people in my life, like my grandma, my mom, like remembering that like there are real life women in my life that I respect and love, and that there's more to it than what the internet shows.
This fall, Campbell will
they got this young brother playing the guitar.
a senior in high school. His summer is filled with internships and other programs. Now, when he hears friends make misogynistic comments, he tries to speak up. What I won't do, he
Don't
says,
be that guy.
is be complicit. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm John Yang in Detroit.
70% of young men who regularly engage with masculinity influencers' content believe women have it easier than men. Oh my gosh, the world is crumbling. And by the way, that's a base take. And that's why nobody takes organizations like this serious anymore. We understand that it's all just propaganda. We understand that they only just push a specific narrative. They're not even willing to argue against the points that the manosphere or the red pill makes. They just try to shame young men out of believing or watching or engaging with the content. And that's because they're absolutely terrified. They're absolutely terrified of young men waking up and realizing that they're being taken advantage of and are expected to take on all of the responsibility of society and family while getting nothing in return. But there's nothing that they can do because young men are starting to realize it anyway, and I am certainly happy to help. Because when you help young men, women, children, and society. But when you just help young women, you don't really help anybody. Because it turns out no matter how equal young women are in terms of how much they make, they don't really want to take on the responsibility of providing for a family like a man would. But either way, it's neither here nor there. The veil has been lifted. These organizations are no longer taken serious. And the only time they say they care about young men or talk about young men is when they feel like it negatively affects young women. Let me know in the comments below if this video is a W or L, and give me the HBO special. That's Help Brother Out special. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. Till next time.